Time for SMX Facts. We bring in our staff statistician, Clinton Fowler, as always. I think the easy trivia coming out of Anaheim 1 is, the defending champ only got 12th. What's it like to try to come back? So you've got some stats proving that there have been worse round ones for a rider that did go on to win the title.
Indeed, Weege. And man, what a rough night for Jet Lawrence. Worst finish in his career in the Premier class, including Pro Motocross. But it's not the end of the world. We've got 3 examples of guys that have finished outside the top 10 and still won the championship. So you look at Ricky Carmichael in 2002, and man, if anybody has seen that race where he crashed at Anaheim 1, it's just absolutely brutal. He came back to win. James Stewart, 2009, same thing. And then the last one, Ryan Villapoto in 2013, he even lost his glove at Anaheim 1 in that race. The amazing part, JT, is these guys came back and they won a minimum of 10 races in each of those seasons. So the end of the world isn't here. What do you think? Do you think he's just going to rebound this weekend, or is this going to be a slow build, JT?
This really reminded me of the Ryan Villapoto in 2013 race. The James Stewart one for me was a little different because he and his rival Chad Reed went down in heat together. So the whole wasn't necessarily the same dynamic as for Jet, but I do think Jet has an opportunity to come back. We're so early in such a long series that nothing can really be determined yet. And then you couple that with how deep the field is. So you have to imagine that riders like Chase Sexton or whoever was at the front in this particular race, even Cooper Webb in a fourth, they're going to have middling races too, where not everything goes perfectly. And there will be opportunities, but you nailed it. The most important aspect of this is winning several races. I don't think it has to be 10, but it needs to be more than 6 or 7, I think, especially when you start in a hole. I do think for Jet to win, he's going to have to get on a run and win a bunch of races just like he did last season.
Now, on the other side of the coin, the 250 class, Jo Shimoda, that's only his second win, first of all. Am I right about that? Is that only his second win? And just dive into the data of that.
Yeah, just third win for him. Absolutely incredible race for him.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah, and man, I mean, he didn't necessarily show it in qualifying. He didn't necessarily show it in the heat race, but man, he came out. He got a great start in the main event. He set the fastest lap of the main event, which was the thing that really was surprising because he hadn't shown that speed earlier in the day. But JT, the thing here for me, I just think about a kid from Japan that moved over as a teenager. He's the first and only rider from Japan to win a Supercross race. But he comes over as a teenager, doesn't know the language. He's got to adapt, not only from riding a bike here, but he's got to adapt culturally. And I just look at that, and you look at the strides he's made. This is clearly out of the norm for him. He's starting the season strong. Do you think he's going to keep this going, or guys like Deegan and Beaumer going to end up having the advantage as we move forward?
Well, he has all the tools, and that's what's been so frustrating with him not starting quickly is the tools are there. You're never going to say those things about a rider where visually you can see deficiencies that are holding them back, or they don't have the talent or the equipment. That's really never been the case for Jo Shimoda. He finally stepped up and did what he's supposed to do early on, which is going to position him, whether he wins the championship or not, everything's in front of him now, where before he was doing so much damage to himself early on that it was almost an afterthought that the championship was kind of over with for him. And I think for Joe, I mentioned this on the broadcast, that he's always done, or he's kind of approached the race the same way. Once he gets going and he's out of trouble, he puts in picture perfect laps over and over and over. The problem is, if he's coming from 8th or 9th or 14th, those picture perfect laps are only good enough to get him up to 3rd or 4th by the end of the race. So when he gets out front, he clears that first lap, doesn't have an issue, he's gonna continue to put in those picture perfect laps, and he's gonna win the race. So just like Denver in 2024, give him a whole shot and get him away from all the traffic. And he is a very, very difficult rider to contend with because he does not do things that take himself out of the race. Yes, maybe you can mess with him, but he doesn't do a lot of self-damage once the first couple laps are over, especially if he's in good position.
Statistician Clinton, easy for me to say. Pretty obvious that the United States riders have won the most races in that class. I guess Japan now starting to move up in the rankings. But just tell us, probably not a surprise, what nation has the second most amount of 125 or now 250 class Supercross wins?
France. It's absolutely, I mean, not surprising, right? They've just had such great talent. It started back with Jean-Michel Bayle in the early 90s there. But Yeah, Joe has added his name to the list, and I'm sure before the end of the season we'll see more of it.
Yep, that's what he would like, to win some more. Australia is third, everyone. Probably not surprises there. Always good to see international talent. Always good to see you too, Clinton. We'll see you in San Diego.
Good to see you guys.
This weekend, we're headed to San Diego, Super Motocross World Championship and Monster Energy AMA Supercross. Racing will begin at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, you can watch on Peacock or outside the United States on the SMX Video Pass.
Hi, folks. Lee Diffie from NBC Sports here. If you truly enjoyed what you just watched, you can get more news, interviews, and highlights by subscribing to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube page. You can get it all, so go for it.